Picture this, a chance encounter between a man-turned-pig and a mysterious young woman with the ability to read minds. It's an unusual twist that sets the stage for an unforgettable adventure. So, if you're ready for a story that's both heartwarming and enchanting, hit that subscribe button and join us on this incredible journey. He found himself huddled on the dim, muddy floor, covered in filth from head to toe. The exact reason for his mud-covered state eluded him, but it likely had to do with the pigsty he now occupied. He felt an inexplicable heaviness in his limbs, rendering him immobile, and so he lay there among the pigs, a feeling of wrongness gnawing at him. He couldn't quite make sense of what he saw. The absence of his glasses could be to blame. The mingling scents of dirt, manure, straw, and rust filled his nostrils, creating a powerful, overwhelming aroma unique to the pig pen. Unwilling to embrace his porcine companions, he tried to push some of them away. Amidst the swine, he suddenly noticed a young girl diligently feeding them. She seemed unaware of his presence, engrossed in her task, displaying no interest in his predicament. He didn't feel comfortable in his new form, the strange language and surroundings baffled him. Overwhelmed by the unfamiliarity of it all, he let out cries for help. His grunts seemed to signal to the girl that he might not be one of the pigs. She resolved to free him at any cost, as if she'd received his story directly in her mind, even though he was sure he understood her words. Fetching something to help him escape the muck, he came to the startling realization that his shape had transformed, and he now shared a connection with the girl. As a seasoned researcher accustomed to observing things objectively, he acknowledged that he had become a pig without protest. Pigs have only two types of visual pigments and cannot perceive color distinctions. Despite his heightened mental faculties, he couldn't see the girl clearly but hoped she was beautiful. He longed for her to clean him so he could admire her from below. If she were a blonde girl, it would be the cherry on top, and he wondered if she might be a high school student. He desperately wanted this strange dream to end, regretting whatever led to him consuming raw pig liver, which had left him racked by searing stomach pains on a train platform, unable to stand. From that point on, he couldn't remember a thing. He pondered whether he had been taken to a hospital, but this place was definitely not a hospital, and he had no idea of his whereabouts. Just then, the girl entered the room and inquired if he was finally awake. As he tried to speak, she advised against it, assuring him that she could understand him perfectly. She explained that she had done her best to transform him back into a human, but her efforts had been in vain. He yearned to get up and make sense of the situation, but he couldn't. When he finally managed to walk to a mirror in the room, he was bewildered by his porcine form. Jess, the young lady, couldn't offer an explanation. She knew he was a human before he transformed into a pig, recalling that he had unwittingly walked into the pig pen she tended to. He realized she could read his thoughts, and at this point, she introduced herself as Yema, a member of House Kilterin, and her name was Jess. She inquired about his origins, and he told her he was from Tokyo, Japan. However, she was uneducated and didn't understand what he meant. Her knowledge seemed limited to her homeland. It dawned on her that he was likely not from Mysteria. Jess placed a chair by the window and opened it to let in some fresh air. She explained that Mysteria was an extension of a larger land, South Mysteria, ruled by a king who held dominion over the entire region. Kiltiri was a part of Mysteria, and House Kilterin ruled over Kiltiri. Yema referred to a specific class, recognizable by their silver collars, who possessed the extraordinary ability to communicate via their minds, bypassing spoken language or hearing. This unique skill allowed her to respond to the questions that filled his mind. She offered him some fruit, but he declined, still struggling with the concept of his bizarre transformation. As he faced the daunting reality of his situation, he realized that he could request what he needed, a notion that made him feel like a character in an isekai fantasy story. In this surreal world, he remained in human form and engaged in playful banter with Jess, basking in his newfound magical abilities and adventures as a hero. The fact that she could read his mind made her agree to his every request. She had just finished scrubbing his skin and caring for him, and he expressed his gratitude. However, he couldn't shake the feeling of being a burden to her, as he feared he wouldn't be able to repay her kindness. In a sincere moment, he asked her to treat him like a brother and take care of him if she was truly considerate. He pledged to do whatever he could in his capacity as a pig to return the favor, emphasizing that she wasn't his servant. He requested that if she treated him as a pig most of the time, she should only extend a helping hand when he was genuinely in trouble, preserving her natural body for her own comfort. Talus found solace in being treated like a pig. Under the open blue sky, soft sunlight bathed his back, and the gentle breeze was comforting. The wind made Jess's skirts flutter elegantly, its motions aligning perfectly with its purpose. The sunlight filtered through her dark blue fabric, creating a play of light and shadow as they blended with the faint shimmering of the pure white fabric, which could only be glimpsed briefly. Jess gazed at him and suggested that he walk closer to her. He responded that his intentions were as straightforward as the description he had been giving her. She stopped once more and kindly reminded him that he could call her Jess while she referred to him as Mr. Pig. This made him flutter with happiness, relishing the fact that he was the first man a blonde beauty had ever called a pig. At this point, he had become less concerned about her listening to his innermost thoughts. They continued their journey towards the farm they were headed to, where an abundance of chickens awaited them. He found himself unconsciously acting like a pig around the chickens, and Jess playfully called him to attention, cautioning him not to torment the birds too much. She jokingly threatened to torment him in return if he persisted. Upon arriving at the farm, Mr. Pig was genuinely impressed by the operations. Tools seemed to function by themselves, and lanterns provided ample illumination. Jess explained that they used Risty to care for the animals. The term sounded strange to him, and realizing his unfamiliarity, Jess clarified that Risty were stones created daily by a great mage and distributed among the citizens. These stones contained magical power that could be harnessed in various ways. She went on to describe that the yellow Risty were for movement and light, while the red ones were for heat and flames. There were a total of 5 colors: yellow, red, green, blue, and black. Mr. Pig was surprised by the mention of black, as he considered it an unusual attribute. Jess explained that black Risty were used for prayers and could evoke miracles only achievable by mages, although very few of them used them. He inquired about the limited use, and Jess clarified that black Risty were exclusive to Yethmans. Continuing her explanation, she detailed that at House Kilterin, they primarily used these stones for healing illnesses and injuries. However, its effectiveness depended on the intensity of the Yemis prayers. As for laymen, the stones rarely seemed to have any effect. Mr. Pig couldn't help but feel they were akin to nerfed items in a game, given their incredible potential. Jess informed him that she would soon be finished cleaning up and suggested he enjoy some outdoor playtime, just like a pig would. This suggestion left him conflicted, as he couldn't help but sense that she was awkwardly treating him like a pig. The blonde beauty's bare legs, framed by her skirt, were now just a short distance away from him. He couldn't fathom this unique situation, but she responded that she wasn't a beauty. He explained to her that a true beauty would never admit to being beautiful. She accepted the compliment, and he commended her for being smart. Just then, a slight breeze caused her skirt to flutter, revealing the white fabric inside. He continued to praise her beauty, leading her to tease him that she might have to spank him for embarrassing her. In response, he playfully wagged his tail and called her sweet names. Jess appreciated his kindness and explained that it was a rarity for someone to be kind from the heart. He wondered what she meant and asked if she was surrounded by unkind people. She clarified that the people around her were good, but being a Yema, she struggled to make friends and often went unnoticed. She explained that people tend to be kind to those they are close to. Mr. Pig asked if that meant once she was a servant, she couldn't hang out with others. He also inquired about how she passed the time, to which she revealed her love for reading books, especially fairy tales. She mentioned that when she read, even someone like her could embark on adventures, wield swords, and meet princes. Hearing her thoughts, he considered the possibility of being spanked by the blonde beauty, even if only in theory from his perspective as a character in a book. With her ability to read his mind, Jess asked if he truly wanted her to do that for him, but he insisted he didn't want her to spank him and asked her not to read his mind anymore. He then questioned if someone like her could also wish to meet a prince, to which she defended herself, saying she had merely used that as an example. He assured her that his thoughts were also just examples and nothing more. However, he admitted that, in reality, she did want a prince to come to her rescue when she was in trouble, perhaps not at that very moment but possibly in the future. After their previous conversation, Mr. Pig asked Jess if there had been any cases of people turning into pigs in their country. She admitted that she didn't have extensive experience with such cases, but she knew that hundreds of years earlier, during a period of mage wars, it was rumored that mages had used their magic to transform people into animals. When Mr. Pig inquired if these mages were still alive, Jess confirmed that they were. She went on to explain that in Mysteria, the only great family recognized by the king were the descendants of the soul mage who survived the Dark Ages. Jess told him that in order to return to his original form, he had no other option but to travel to the royal capital and seek an audience with the king. She volunteered to accompany him, despite his initial objections. She mentioned that she would be taking a leave of absence to make the journey. Mr. Pig expressed his concern that taking a pig to meet the king might be disrespectful, but Jess assured him that the king was known for his benevolence and would certainly lend a sympathetic ear once he heard their story. He felt uneasy about making Jess travel just because of him, but she believed it was their fate. As they conversed, Jess kneeled in front of him, inadvertently exposing her undergarments under her skirt. Near the end of their conversation, Mr. Pig gently reminded her to maintain her composure, even if he was a pig. She pleaded with him, and he playfully requested that if she wanted to express her regret, she should consider showing him something even more deeper than that next time. Thank you for watching our magical journey today. Share your thoughts in the comments and let us know how you liked the recap. If you haven't already, subscribe and click the notification bell for more enchanting stories. Stay curious and keep exploring with us.